Do I look at you or do I look there?
If there's any question that you don't want to answer.
Yeah, I'll just throw this chair at you, don't worry about it.
So my name's Josh.
My name's Michael.
Rodney Russo.
My name's Mike Schneider.
I'm Ashley.
My name is Tim McCaskill.
I'm a PhD student in immunology at U of T.
I like to swim, jog, go to the gym a couple times a week.
I'm just in the process of retiring.
I was diagnosed 9 months ago.
So I was diagnosed in 2011.
2 weeks before my 18th birthday, to be exact.
When they developed a test, 86.
It's been over a decade that I've been HIV positive.
So was there a specific reason you went to get tested?
I joined the U of T epidemiological study in 1983, and I said, by the way, I hear that there's a new test for this new virus that they've discovered. Have you tested me for it? And the doctor said, well, do you really want to know? And I said, well, yeah, if you've tested me for it, I think I want to know. And he said, oh, well, okay, you're positive. If I hadn't asked, he would have never told me. No.
Wow.
I left high school. I'm 6'2", I was 240 pounds, almost had a 40-inch waist. Within a 3-month period, I was down to 120 pounds and a 29-inch waist. So, kind of threw me in for something's not quite right here.
Do you remember what it was like when you found out you were HIV positive?
I remember being completely numb, feeling like I was caught in a dream.
It was pretty terrible, as you might expect.
I kind of burst into tears and I was sad for the first little while.
And it's such a cliche, but it's like you never think that it's gonna be like it's gonna be you. I worked for a non-for-profit agency that told me that I was a burden to the agency because I was upping their premiums for their prescription drug coverage. So I did receive coverage, but then in turn was being viewed now as liability for accessing that coverage.
My mom goes, no matter what happens, you will always be there. We'll always be there for you. It doesn't matter.
What do you wish people knew about being HIV positive?
Don't assume anything about what it's like to be positive. Everyone is scared as shit to become positive. So it's kind of paradoxical that people can say things like, oh, it's not that bad, because, I mean, it's true that it's not, but at the same time, it still just really is shitty. Not the health, biomedical parts of it, mostly just like the stigma and living with people's perceptions of what it means to be HIV positive.
You know what, it's today that it's a manageable illness, it's not a disease, it's not the death sentence that it used to be.
I think a lot of people still kind of are still in that mentality, of that death sentence mentality.
Well, I think a lot of people, still view it as a death sentence, but by no means does HIV stop you from fulfilling your biggest dreams, reaching your fullest potential. If anything, it's the stigma that still exists today that holds people back.
I wish more people were aware of the difference between HIV and then AIDS, especially. But definitely stigma, because stigma is what hurts everybody living with HIV the most. Even if they're confident and doing well, they're impacted by stigma on some level. And the stigma usually comes from rejection, denial of jobs, people having misconceptions about how they can get transmission or, how it could be passed along.
I've had a few friends or family members, they find out that I have HIV. I wish they would, instead of stepping back or turning their back, they would ask questions if they're not educated.
I went in and spoke to a group of young people who've been recently seroconverted, and I said that I had been positive probably. I was probably infected in 79 and 1980. You could see kind of the blood draining from their face. The real problem is that people get tested, they seroconvert and think, oh, my life's over, so they drop out of school or stop working. And so to see somebody who had been living with HIV longer than they had been living, period, I think they suddenly realize, oh shit, right? Maybe I have to deal with the rest of my life now.
What do you wish people knew about getting tested?
I wish that they knew that it's not a scary thing to do, because it's only 3 or 4 minutes.
Just go in, get tested, and once you know your status, you're a lot better off for it. I know people who felt relief when they found out. I know people who were devastated. I know people who cried. I know people who felt like it was a foregone conclusion. I mean, the responses to a diagnosis are really complex.
I mean, there's reason to be concerned about finding out you're positive. Like, as soon as you know you're positive, you now have a duty to disclose, which for some of us is easier, and for some people it's more difficult for a number of reasons. Even consider Charlie Sheen coming out as HIV positive. In him finding out that he became positive, he underwent a number of social factors like blackmail, simply because he was positive. So we need to consider the social impacts of finding out that we're positive.
The population today, the I don't know, I don't care category, is statistically the ones that are passing it at the alarming rate. Those who have gotten tested are on, treatment, being monitored by a doctor. When they get to their undetectable viral load, it's like a 4% chance they have of passing it.
What advice would you give to someone who may be thinking about getting tested but doesn't know if they should?
If you're nervous, take a friend with you, right? That helps, having someone to be there with you, while you're going through in the waiting room.
You can be completely anonymous when you get tested. You can go to your doctor, get tested. To have a buddy there doing the test with you, good for you, good for them, good for the public. Everybody knows at the end of the day. And then that way, if you do get a result that you weren't expecting, you've already got that person there with you.
It's okay to be scared of all of those social implications and to weigh the decision to be tested heavily.
You think the way to protect yourself is to ask somebody whether they're positive, right? Or to wait until they tell you? You need to think again. People don't know, people won't say, right? I mean, that is not a protection. Your protection is, having safe sex.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. This video was made for the Terrence Higgins Trust, which is a national HIV prevention campaign for National HIV Testing Week. I will leave all the information for the Terrence Higgins Trust in the description bar down below. It's a great resource if you're thinking about getting tested or you just want more information about HIV. Share this video with somebody who you think might need it. If this video inspires one person to go get tested or it inspires somebody to get on medication, if they're thinking about getting on medication for HIV, then it's done its job. So I encourage you to share it with your friends and to, most importantly, smile. I will see you guys next week. Bye guys.